So we're sitting here with Dart Lindsley from Cisco, and I don't have a question. I have a statement, and I want you to respond.
Okay.
Business architecture, delegation, decentralization. Tell us something.
Okay. Let me think about that for a second. So, the move from command and control to collaboration is something that we're talking a lot about in the conference here. And I'm actually really influenced by actually a military theorist called Colonel John Boyd. And he was a guy who started to talk about how the way to really win in competition was, and to be disruptive, was to make decisions more quickly. In particular, to observe, orient, decide, and act. And that's the OODA loop. And he pointed out that the way to do that is not in a command and control fashion. And so, if you talk about command and control, and you imagine a military unit where you have command and control, and each of the tips of the fingers are a subunit, a platoon, or something like that. That as long as they rely on a command and control relationship, that the finger number one gives information to the center, finger number two, finger number three, finger number four, and it takes a long time to receive all of that information, and then the command and control person analyzes that information, sends out the commands, and by then it's too late. It's all old news. And so what he realized is if you really want to cycle quickly, if you really want to adapt to change, what you need to do is you need to push that intelligence out to the tips of the fingers. And in particular, they need to communicate with each other. And so when they find an opportunity, they actually place a call to the neighboring populations. I know it's hard to get my fingers, isn't it? They place a call that says, look, we found an opportunity, everybody fall in. And so in the same way that water seeks a gap and goes through the gap, they can work that way. And they do it because of new information, of good information between the pieces. And so the reason that we feel like this is an opportunity that that industry may never have had before, to really go after collaboration, is that the ability to share information between the nodes is better than it's ever been, and it's getting better. And we're talking about the richness of the communication. So it used to be data. Now it's literally like opening up a door and talking to your neighbor right through the door. Except that when you open up the door, it could be opening up on India. It could be opening up on China. It could be opening up on any place in the world. And so that creates the ability for a large organization even to have all of that activity, that rapid response out at the edge, because the edge is communicating with each other. So what's interesting about business architecture in that context is, so when we talk about business architecture, it's largely about taking a signal from the strategic direction of the company and making sure that that signal is coherent and stays coherent throughout the organization. Because one of the things that we all need to know, if we're all going to work together without a command and control situation, is what are we trying to achieve? And so that's a lot of what business architecture is about. And what we talk about is that we want to achieve convergence of outcome, which means that we're all working together toward one thing, or 50 things, but at least we know what the 50 are. So convergence of outcome through convergence of effort. And to some extent, what we find is that collaboration, it's not command and control from above, but you do often need to staff it from a facilitative perspective I can't say quite below, but beside those pieces to catalyze some of that collaboration. And so that's a lot of what business architecture is about for us.
I was recently at a conference talking about sort of bringing the tips of the fingers together. And a lot of people were reluctant because they saw they were giving up control by doing so. And the managers, it's always the other guy, but those managers hoard information, don't share, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I watched John Chambers' announcement of, hold it, we're going to change this at Cisco. Is it working? Is it implemented? Is this the same deal?
It is working, but I think that it's been going on a lot longer than that announcement. We started, for instance, having teamwork and collaboration incentives for management. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe more. So the need to collaborate cross-functionally was identified quite a while ago. And we did a lot of experimentation, and John did some really bold experimentation. So, for instance, we had two-in-a-box at leadership at the highest levels, and we experimented with a number of different methods for getting that collaboration. And I think it's really become second nature. I don't see what you're talking about. Now, I will say, and I know this just because John has said it, that some people didn't take to that kind of a management structure. Leaders didn't. And those leaders went on to other places.
Exactly, yeah.
So it didn't happen overnight. It's still an ongoing work, honestly.
Dart, thank you very much.
You're welcome.